Monetary policy. You walk into a store and something feels off. Prices aren't what they were last week. Everything's just more expensive. Then you check your loan or mortgage. The rate's gone up. Monthly payments feel tighter. And it's not just personal. Companies are holding off on new projects, layoffs, but none of this is random. In the background, interest rates are quietly being changed, adjusted by central banks. These shifts are deliberate and they send ripple effects through the entire economy. All of it is being shaped by a silent force called monetary policy. Monetary policy is when a central bank changes interest rates to influence how much money is flowing through the economy and how expensive it is to borrow. When they raise rates, loans cost more, so people and businesses borrow less. Spending slows, demand cools, and inflation gradually comes down. When they lower the rates, borrowing becomes cheaper, spending rises, investment grows, and the economy speeds up again. The, these decisions affect the money supply, consumer demand, business investment, and the overall pace of economic activity. It's one of the most powerful tools governments have to stabilize prices and guide long term growth. Let's ease into a few real examples and watch the change in action. Here, the Bank of Canada lifts the policy rate to 5% in 2022 to 23. When it rises, banks reprice mortgages, loans, and credit lines higher, so borrowing becomes more expensive. As borrowing costs jump, households and firms delay purchases and projects, cooling demand. After the 8.1% peak in June 2022, inflation trends back toward 2%. Watch the Fed take rates from near zero in 2020 to above 5% in 2022 to 23. That step up forces credit card APRs, auto loans, and businesses financing costs higher, so the price of borrowing climbs. Higher borrowing costs restrain spending and investment, especially on big ticket items. Inflation rolls over from 9.1% in June 2022 and moves back toward target. From mid 2022, the ECB lifts key policy rates from near negative to restrictive. Banks' funding costs rise, loans reprice higher, and borrowing becomes more expensive. As credit gets pricier, demand cools across member states, and inflation settles near the 2% objective by late 2025.
Part 2. Why should engineers care? Monetary policing can be shown using a feedback control loop, which is something that engineers use in their field of work. Engineers can relate to monetary policing concepts as it uses the same structure in robotics, signal processing, stability, and oscillations, as well as tuning and editing of certain models. Sensors can map to inflation and unemployment as monetary policing tries to measure these three ideas. The controller of our system would be the Canadian Central Bank, as the central bank receives the data that was picked up, compares this sample with their records and references, and takes action from there. For our model, our actuator is what causes the change in our interest, which can be seen as an actuator causing the change and effects of a certain model. Hence why actuators map to interest rates. In general, engineers care about monetary policing because it works as a feedback control loop. Sensors collect the data, central banks operate from the data that collected, the controller decides on the action, and our economy as a whole is, is the output.
Monetary policy used to mean changing interest rates or printing money, but today, technology is transforming how those policies actually work, and even what money itself looks like. Disruptive technologies create major challenges for central banks. Prices for software, AI tools, and digital goods change so quickly that inflation becomes hard to measure. Automation also shifts the job market, making it tricky to judge how much slack really exists in the economy. Technology changes how monetary policy spreads through the economy. Fintech apps and online lenders react to interest rate changes almost instantly, while traditional banks take longer. Even online prices update faster so inflation responds in real time. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum inspired central banks to experiment with their own digital money, central bank digital currencies. These could make payments faster and programmable, but they also bring new cybersecurity and stability risks. Behind every modern financial systems are engineers, from blockchain networks and AI forecasting models to secure digital platforms. Engineers make monetary policy possible in the digital era. Understanding economics helps us design smarter, more stable systems for the future. So, in the end, technology isn't just helping monetary policy, it's completely reshaping it. The future of money, data, and economic stability will rely on the systems that engineers build.